Jean-Baptiste, too, decided to surrender to the tribunal and volunteer a confession immediately after his return from exile in 1996. His cooperation earned him the goodwill of the administration in prison, where he runs an association of repentant detainees. Jean-Baptiste, whom Innocent has called as evil and cocky as he is crafty and intelligent, is quite articulate, but is more calculating than Leopard. He seems mealy-mouthed and evasive, although whether from cowardice or embarrassment is impossible to tell. He is in fact the one who has most clearly realized what they all did, and the one who best understands the nature of the gaze that the outside world, in Rwanda and abroad, now turns on them. After years of silence, as their trial approached, most of the members of the gang began to admit, more or less and with extreme caution, their participation in the genocide. They were prompted by the legal system's promises of leniency, prompted as well by the desire to preserve the gang and stay part of it. Their long-standing friendship was very important to them, they explained. Pancras. In the prison meetings, friction has in a way distanced those who didn't want to admit anything. Those who won't say a bit about what happened, they have to stick together and not mix anymore with those they threaten and accuse. But among those who agree to confess, even a little, like us in the gang, friendship is as strong as before the killings. Pio. In prison, the beds of the guys in the gang are not side by side, but the daytime reunites us and helps us exchange thoughts and affection. The bygone days bound us tightly together, especially the banana farms. We all went from one to another for the pruning and the harvests. We pressed fruit together. We invited one another to share uwagawa. Those who weren't so flush were included. We'd visit one who'd lost a relative to death, sharing sorrow and drink with him. We haven't forgotten those good times. That's why prison life keeps us close like before. Leopold. In the gang, we are not all open with one another in the same way, but we talk together in friendship. Despite some disagreements, we help one another. We don't have drinks or little things, but we share salt or sugar. We tell jokes among ourselves to keep from getting homesick. We play volleyball and indoor games without bickering. Jean-Baptiste. There's no wrangling in the group. There are older guys, and there are the young ones. Fate has not loosened our ties. Me, I try to give courage to confessions. Still, each one makes his own to suit himself. Despite the awful work of the killings and the rough prison life, the atmosphere among us remains strong. We are impatient together for an end to difficult times. Our bad luck, I see only that as a problem for us. Adalbert. We avoid talking about misfortunes. Like our memories of the camps or the hardships there, we form choral groups and play games. We try to protect ourselves from epidemics. We share our provisions and news of our farms if luck allows a relative to visit a prison. We have always remained friends, always united the same way despite the calamities of life, exile, and prison. Whatever we have to do, we do it as comrades in every situation. Apprenticeship. Adalbert. A number of farmers were not brisk at killing, but they turned out to be conscientious. In any case, the manner came with imitation. Doing it over and over, repetition smoothed out clumsiness. That is true, I believe, for any kind of handiwork. Pancras. Many people did not know how to kill, but that was not a disadvantage because there were Interahamwe to guide them in their first steps. At the beginning, the Interahamwe came in by bus from the neighboring hills to lend a hand. They were more skilled, more impassive. They were clearly more specialized. They gave advice on what paths to take and which blows to use, with which techniques. Passing by, they would shout, "Do like me. If you feel you are making a mess of it, call for help." They used their spare time to initiate those who seemed uneasy with this work of killing. That instruction happened just in the first days. Later we had to shift for ourselves and polish our crude methods. Alphonse. At first you cut timidly, then time helps you grow into it. Some colleagues learned the exact way to strike, on the side of the neck or the back of the head, to hasten the end. But other colleagues were all thumbs right up to the finish. Their moves were slow. They did not dare. They hit the arm instead of the neck, for example, then ran away yelling, "That's it! I killed this one dead!" But everyone knew it wasn't true. A specialist had to intervene, catch up with the target, and dispatch it. Ellie. The club is more crushing, but the machete is more natural. The Rwandan is accustomed to the machete from childhood. Grab a machete. That is what we do every morning. We cut sorghum, we prune banana trees, we hack out vines, we kill chickens. Even women and little girls borrow the machete for small tasks, like chopping firewood. Whatever the job, the same gesture always comes smoothly to cut our hands. To our hands. The blade, when you use it to cut branch, animal, or man, it has nothing to say. In the end, a man is like an animal. You give him a whack on the head or the neck, and down he goes. In the first days, someone who had already slaughtered chickens, and especially goats, had an advantage, understandably. Later, everyone grew accustomed to the new activity, and the laggards caught up. Only young guys, very sturdy and willing, used clubs. The club has no use in agriculture, but it was better suited to their way of trying to stand out, of strutting in the crowd. Same thing for spears and bows. Those who still had them could find it entertaining to lend them or show them off. Pio. There were some who turned out to be easy killers, and they backed up their comrades in tough spots. But each person was allowed to learn in his own way according to his character. You killed the way you knew, the way you felt it, each at his own speed. There were no serious instructions on know-how, except to keep it up. And then we must mention a remarkable thing that encouraged us. Many Tutsis showed a dreadful fear of being killed, even before we started to hit them. They would stop their disturbing agitation. They would cower, or stand stock still. So this terror helped us to strike them. It is more tempting to kill a trembling and bleeding goat than a spirited and frisky one. Put it that way. Fulgence. The fumblers were followed as a precaution because of possible incompetence. The Interahamwe gave them compliments or reprimands. Sometimes, if they wanted to be strict, the penalty was to finish off the wounded person, whatever it took. The culprit had to keep tackling the job to the end. The worst thing was being forced to do this in front of your own colleagues. We were only a few at the very start. That didn't last long, thanks to our familiarity with the machete in the fields. It's only natural. If you and me are given a ballpoint pen, you will prove more at ease with writing work than me. No jealousy on my part. For us, the machete was what we knew how to use and sharpen. Also, for the authorities, it was less expensive than guns. Therefore we learned to do the job with the basic instrument we had. Jean-Baptiste. If you proved too green with the machete, you could find yourself deprived of rewards, to nudge you in the right direction. If you got laughed at one day, you did not take long to shape up. If you went home empty-handed, you might even be scolded by your wife or your children. In any case, everybody killed in his own way. Someone who couldn't get used to polishing off his victim could just walk on or ask for help. He would find a supportive comrade behind him. No colleague ever complained of being mistreated for his awkwardness. Mockery and taunts, they could happen, but harsh treatment, never. Leopold. Me, I took up only the machete. First, because I had one at the house. Second, because I knew how to use it. If you are skilled with the tool, it is handy to use it for everything, clearing brush or killing in the swamps. Time allowed everyone to improve in his fashion. The only strict rule was to show up with a good cutting machete. They were sharpened at least twice a week. This was not a problem, thanks to our own whetstones. Whoever struck crooked, or only pretended to strike, we encouraged him. We advised him on improvements. He might also be obliged to take another turn at a Tutsi, in a marsh, or in front of a house, and to kill the victim before his colleagues, to make sure he had listened well. Joseph Desiree. Bunglers, there were always some of them around, especially at dispatching the wounded. If you are born timid, this is difficult to change, with the marches running with blood. So those who felt relaxed helped out the ones who felt uncomfortable. This was not serious as long as they kept going.